Do you have a business where you import or export products into or out of the United States? If so, then you may be eligible for an import-export visa, otherwise known as a visa E-1, an E-1 visa. I'm immigration attorney Kalani Hawks Villafranca. I help my clients with the E-1 import-export visa, and I'm here today to explain to you what it is, and so you can figure out if you might be eligible. So first of all, what is it? The E-1 visa is a non-immigrant visa. What that means is it's never going to lead to a green card, but it gives you permission to live and work in the US to support your import-export business. You will get your visa for a first period of 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, depending on the country you're from. And that is because the import-export visa is created by treaties between the United States and your home country. Not every country has a treaty with the United States to support an E-1 visa, but many of them do. Most of my clients are from Mexico. Mexico has an E treaty with the United States. So does Spain. So does Colombia. So does Canada and the UK. Some common countries that don't are China and India. But there's a whole list on the Department of State website if you want to figure out if your country has a treaty with the US. That's the first step. So let's assume that you're from a country that has an import-export treaty with the United States. Then we look to see if there's import-export activity. First, there needs to be a business. What business is doing the importing and exporting? That business has to be owned at least 50% by people from the treaty country. So if your home country is Mexico, then the treaty country is Mexico. And we have to know that that business is owned at least 50% by Mexican nationals. That's because the whole point of the treaty is to support economic development and trade between those two countries. So if the business were owned by Americans, it wouldn't be very helpful. It's not supporting development between those two countries. So we need a business owned by Mexican nationals or from your country of origin if you are not from Mexico. And then we have to show that there's a substantial volume of imports and exports between the US and your home country. What does that mean? That's the whole rub. We have to figure out what that means to know if you're eligible. So we break it down into two parts. The first part is how much trade do you do with all countries? So let's say you're from Mexico and you export products to 6 different countries. One of them is the United States. To be eligible for an import-export visa with the United States, you have to show that at least half of your international trade is between the US and your country. So if you have trade between Mexico and the US and Canada and UK and Colombia, and it's 25% to each of those countries, you're not eligible for an import-export visa with the United States. But if you have trade with Canada and the US and 75% of your trade goes to the US and 25% goes to Canada, you're eligible for an import-export visa with the US. Okay, so that's step one. At least 50% of your international trade is with the US. Now keep in mind here, you can do things that are not international trade. So say you do $1 million in business in Mexico. Your Mexican company does $1 million in business. $500,000 of that business stays in Mexico. And $500,000 of that business is imported to the US. Well, what that means is that 100% of your foreign trade goes to the US. It's okay that you also have domestic trade. What we care about is the total amount of your foreign trade and what percentage of that goes to the US. If more than 50% of the import-export business is with the US and your home country, you're good. So that's step one. Step two is we have to show that that trade is ongoing. You have to show a high volume of trade that is more than just 1 or 2 purchases. So we have to show that trade has been continuing and ongoing, and that you will expect it to continue and be ongoing, because it's the whole point of the visa. So we need to show both a substantial volume amount and many numbers, voluminous trade activity. So if you import one product every 6 months to the US, that's going to be hard. It's not really going to be the reason the import-export visa exists, and you probably won't be eligible. But if your business is importing soda and you place 8 orders a month, and each of those orders are for $200,000, and every single order is imported from Mexico to the US. That is the whole purpose of this visa, and you're going to be eligible. Something else to keep in mind is that when people think about imports and exports, we often just think of goods. But for an import-export treaty, services count as well. If you import services from the United States, from your home country to the United States, or you export services in the other direction from the United States to your home country, that can qualify you for an import-export visa. So keep in mind that an import-export visa is not just for import or export of goods, but also for import and export of services. Maybe you have a software company, and your software company is run 100% by Mexican nationals, and you sell software services to US corporations. That might count. It's really exciting. The law was changed in the last couple of years to make it clear that service businesses are eligible for this kind of visa, and can be a really exciting opportunity for a lot of you. So the E-1 visa is really great because unlike the E-2 visa, which you may have heard about, that's the investor visa, the E-1 visa doesn't require you to invest a certain amount of money. It does not require for you to show employees or long-term profitability in the US. And you don't have to show any sort of positive economic development in the US. You only have to show trade volume. So if you have substantial volume of trade with the US, then you might be eligible for an import-export visa, and I want you to learn more about it. So give me a call. My phone number is here below, 512-675-2945. Everybody at the firm is fluent in English and Spanish, and we can help you in whatever language you prefer, and it would be my pleasure to guide you in this process. See you later.